Welcome, folks, to our September 2025 monthly mindfulness class. And we're going to be focusing today, as you can see, on acceptance and letting go. Sometimes these things are not so easy to do, right? And as you may know, I put in the note on the invitation, and I've announced it in several other places, but I'm going to be retiring. So as of next week, that'll be my last week. Actually, next Wednesday will be my last day, retiring from the health system through that voluntary retirement program. And so let me just start by saying thank you all for being here and for coming to these classes. What was that? Is that a comment? All right, well, I'm going to mute everybody for now anyway, but if you can unmute yourself if you do want to speak up. And also during the class, you can use the chat feature. So, but it is hard. It's hard finishing things up. It's hard tying up a lot of loose ends. It's hard letting go of friendships and people that you've met and colleagues and things that you've done and all these kinds of things. So I thought this would be appropriate to do the class on acceptance and letting go. So we're going to start with a little exercise, and thank you all. I see those nice messages. Thank you for saying so. Appreciate that. We're going to do a little exercise that has just kind of a little reflection on what are some things that you might be holding on to. So first step is simply to make yourself comfortable for a moment. This will just be a quick little exercise to pause for a minute, turn inward, notice how your body feels. Actually feel into your body sitting. Let the body settle for a moment, feel that sense of groundedness. Be aware of your breathing, just tune into your breath for a few cycles. All as a way to kind of center ourselves and bring ourselves to this moment. Now being aware of any thoughts that might be present. And you might ask yourself, what are you wanting or what are you holding on to? Or what do you want to be different in the moment? So even maybe perhaps as you scan down through the body, maybe there was an ache or a pain that you wanted to be different. Or maybe there was something that's kind of nice that you wanted to hold on to. Just thinking about maybe holding on to the summer, for example, or that delicious cup of coffee or some other sweet treat. Or just the way things used to be, pre-COVID or the pre-digital world, or things at work or things in your family. What do you want to be different? What do you want to hold on to? But also, what do you want to let go of? Let's take a moment to kind of reflect on that for a moment. As we know, everything changes. It'd be nice if things stayed the same, be more predictable and certain that way. But we do know that everything changes. So it's the one thing that's constant. All right, you can let go of that reflection. Maybe, again, feel into the body before we finish. Maybe notice the breath again. And just finishing up that quick exercise. We'll continue on. So thanks for joining me in that, just kind of as a quick little intro into some of that. And as you can see, little bit of that mindful minute, just pausing and turning inward. And, it might be helpful to kind of tune into that on occasion, see what's going on for you. That's what today's lesson is all about. I love this quote here from Wayne Dyer. Peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than as you think it should be. And so that's kind of partly what we're doing. We're looking at things that all those shoulds, the things that we think of the way they should be, not as they are, but the way that we really want them to be. But let me pause for a moment and just see how's it going with your own practice. Hopefully you're getting a chance to try some of the mindfulness or meditation practices. Towards the end, I'll remind you about the offerings that we'll be doing, and we're going to continue with this particular class, so just making sure that you know about that. Cecily Selmer will be taking over the monthly mindfulness classes, so we're planning to continue them at the same time, so the second Wednesday of each month from 12:30 to 1:15. We may need to move it to a different Zoom or Teams link, so stay tuned. We're trying to work out the details of how to kind of transfer that over and make sure that happens. So in the October, whatever that second Wednesday is, Cecily will be doing this. Cecily is a mind-body technician that she does Reiki and meditations, and also I believe she's a massage therapist as well during our Serenity stations. And so she's also been helping out with our Take 10. They used to be phone, now they're Take 10 Teams meditations, and she's going to be taking over this as of October. So stay tuned. We do have a list of some folks. I know many of you signed up on LMS, so we'll be sending something out about if there are any changes to the link going forward. But you can also reach out to Gail Cole. Gail is our supervisor of employee well-being programs, or Cecily Selmer, and her last name is spelled Celmer, just to make sure if you want to continue getting notifications about this. So, but enough of that for now. What do you need? What would help? Anybody have any thoughts or questions about going forward, or what might be helpful for your own personal meditation practice or mindfulness practices? How's it been going? Good. So yeah, I see that one comment. The Take 10 sessions are helping me with my practice. So let me comment on that. We used to do that on a teleconference line, an old-fashioned 800 number that you would call in on. And we switched that over to Teams a couple of months ago, and we've been getting a really nice turnout. So in the slides towards the end, I have that so you'll be getting those. You'll see that link. That is, if you want to join into those, it's the same link for every day. So it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. So again, that'll be in a later slide, which towards the end. Again, another. Yeah, so I can't figure out the number. So it's not a number anymore. It's Teams invite. So again, when I get to that slide later on, you'll see that. And it takes place all on Teams now. It's the same concept, though. It's 10 minutes. And I will be doing it next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. But we have Tom does it on Fridays. Cecily does it on Mondays and Thursdays. And we're still working out who's going to take over for me on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So that will be continuing. All right, good to hear that for some of you saying it really helps with day-to-day stressors. And yes, that's one of them. I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's why we do it. I'm glad you're participating, and we'll keep doing that. I think this is a great way to kind of keep up your practice. Okay, so yeah, there is a number that you're talking to. Maybe it's this one. Let's see if I can remember it. It's also on a later slide. 6.85. That is, is it that one that you're talking about? That's a number that I had pre-recorded 3 meditations. Yeah, it'll be on the slide later. And that still is active. That may come down because we've been having a little bit of trouble with that, but I'll point that out when we get to that slide later. All right, so let's continue. So again, getting back to the theme of acceptance, and there's a meditation I came across called Welcome to the Party. It's actually by Jeff Warren. He's from 10% Happier app. It's kind of an interesting concept. I loved it when I first came across it. And this is a quote from him as he introduces. I'm not going to do the meditation, but just to give you an idea of what it's all about. The whole principle to this welcome to the party practice is that everything and everyone is welcome. There is no secret biases or preferences happening. Whatever happens is welcome, including your most neurotic judgments and unholy feelings and seething resentments. All are perfectly welcome. You are an affable host. So happy to see you, you might say. Welcome to the party of my direct experience. So let's get this party started. So as he gets into the meditation, it's the idea that, I don't know if you can hear, my dog is barking in the background. It's that sort of thing. It's kind of distracting and it's kind of annoying to me. And if you can hear it, it might be annoying to you. And so I would say to myself, welcome to the party. So we're kind of stepping back from our immediate reaction of being whatever that might be, if it's annoyance or irritation or whatever that might be, and just stepping back from that and saying, welcome to the party. And I've tried this in just as you go through the flow of your day. You know, we all have those, ups and downs and little things that bother us, in traffic and as we're getting our errands done and all those sorts of things. And of course, we can't stop them from coming. They happen all the time, right? So just try this. Just say to yourself as you go through those annoyances, just say, welcome to the party. It's just part of the way life is. And just become that affable host and say, yes, welcome, person who cut you off in traffic. Welcome to the party. Welcome to that annoying leaf blower outside your window who's sort of distracting you. Whatever it might be, those are just some examples. Welcome to the party. And so try that. It's just sort of the concept. Now, on this slide, you'll see on the bottom there that has a direct link to our Carillon EFR site. Carillon is the external provider of our Employee and Family Resources Program. And I have uploaded about 30 different meditations on there. I don't think I have that Welcome to the Party one on there, but I'll show you another spot where you can continue to follow me as I continue on doing, because I'm not giving this stuff up. I am going to be doing some stuff on the side. But yeah, so that particular link takes you to the meditation page on the Carillon website. So when you get the slides, check that out if you haven't already seen that. Now, this is from Rick Hanson. I love Rick Hanson. He's a neuropsychologist, and he's written a bunch of great books. Even just if you Google him, you'll see some of his stuff. I get one of his newsletters, and what this is from. It's called Jot, Just One Thing. And so as you read this quote, obviously not all difficulties are equally difficult, but people, me included, add a lot of unnecessary frustration, anxiety, and self-criticism by resisting difficulty. It's just what we do, right? It's our tendency to resist it, often with an underlying attitude of, it shouldn't be this way. Try the attitude of accepting difficulty instead of getting aggravated by it. It's a lot more peaceful. And that's the whole concept behind the welcome to the party technique. So, he talks about, there's all sorts of things that are difficult, right? There's, we get tired, our body gets tired. We may have to work longer than we like to. We have all sorts of things that are going on in our family lives. There are relationships that sometimes are difficult. There might be even, these are some of the more bigger things, health challenges that are very, very difficult to navigate, especially if they're chronic kinds of problems. And then there's all sorts of the little things. I've mentioned a few already. And so the idea is, instead of resisting them, try to bring this attitude of just allowing them to be there, at least for a little bit, okay? And one way to kind of do that, and this is, I'm sure many of you have seen the Serenity Prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's actually written by Reinhold Niebuhr, who many folks know this has been widely adopted in AA and other 12-step recovery as a main prayer, to kind of accepting things that I can't change, changing the things that I can, and trying to know the difference. I did a little research into him. He was a congregational minister and theologian and professor at the Union Theological Seminary, and he wrote this prayer during World War II, and it became, as we know, widely adopted in many circles. And it kind of encourages acceptance of uncontrollable circumstances, right? And when we try to resist those, that creates a lot of stress and misery even. It sort of promotes inner work instead of trying to change the external conditions or other people that sometimes, of course, are unchangeable. And it helps us to examine our own thinking and actions, which, of course, is really what mindfulness is all about. We're turning inward to look at our own reactions and responses and habitual ways that we react to things. And that gives us a chance to pause and then respond in a mindful, skillful way rather than automatically react to it on autopilot. So it sort of gives us a balanced path. So the next slide here, I added, there's more to the poem, actually, or the prayer. I guess it's really a prayer. This is the middle part of it: living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. So again, there is a full poem. It is actually quite religious, so I kind of made it a secular poem. The beginning part actually begins with, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. But it goes on, and it's really quite spiritual and religious. But of course, we can use that as one way to kind of help us ourselves accept some of the difficulties that we go through. All right, so the next piece is their actual meditation for today, and it's something called Letting Go and Letting Be. And it's based on the work of Sebene Selassie. Also, she's done some recordings on the 10% Happier app, which actually is just called Happier now. They've changed that. But just to give her credit, it is actually based on her work. So let's do the meditation, as we always do. So take a moment to disconnect from other things, even if you've been multitasking. I get it. I know we're trying to get things done, but try to just let all that other stuff go for now. Literally let it go. All those tasks, all those to-dos, just let them go for now, and let's do this meditation together. So take a moment to begin with the body. Find a position that's comfortable, alert, and relaxed, allowing the eyes to close, or if you prefer, keeping them slightly open with an unfocused gaze. Establishing a basic ability to relax, right now sitting here comfortable, just breathing. training yourself to relax, let's bring our attention to 3 full deep breaths and really feel each out breath. So with each out breath, really feel that sense of relaxing and letting go. Sometimes helps to breathe out with an open mouth or a sigh. Full deep in breath, long, slow out breath, letting go. And notice how simply bringing your awareness to exhaling can make you feel more relaxed. Now let's do 3 breaths with a specific intention to let go on the out breath. So letting that in breath be deep, and then the exhale be long and slow to fulfill that intention of letting go. Doing that a couple more times. Now let's move from the breath to the body as a whole. Take your attention to the very top of your head and slowly scan down from the head. And as your attention drops down, get a sense of whatever tension might be in your body and let it go. Let it drain out through your feet. Let's take a minute or so to do this, scanning all the way down through the body, letting go, letting that tension be released and drain away. Now you can also use a little imagery to let go of body tensions. So you might get an image of being at a pond or a place in nature or at the beach, someplace that you feel is very relaxing and it's warm, comfortable day, and just a place that helps bring up feelings of being really, really relaxed. Get a sense of you being there. Imagine you being in that peaceful, tranquil place. And let all that tension drain out of you. Let yourself relax. Nothing to do, no place to go. Just be relaxed. Now let's practice letting go of shoulds. Look back in the last few days or so to a time when maybe you use that word, should. And as you review an interaction, maybe with your child or partner or coworker, thinking of that, what was the should? You should have what? Or they should have what? What words did you use? With what tone? And as you listen to those words and recall them, notice how that feels in your body. How these words and tone land. And you might get curious about where that should came from. What are you truly believing? And is this really true? Asking yourself the question and being curious about your experience. What would your life be like if you didn't have this should? And if you let go just a little bit, what might it be like to make room for and allowing a more compassionate voice to enter? Now let's move on to emotions, and we'll explore ways of being with negative emotions as a way of supporting greater happiness and well-being. The first is to simply just label the feeling, own it, and accept it. Like, I am mad or sad or worried. Or another way to phrase that is to say, there is anger, or there is sadness, or there is anxiety here. In other words, you don't even have to identify it directly with yourself. Just acknowledge that it's there. And owning a feeling means that you include it. You acknowledge that it's arising in your experience and accepting it, surrendering to the reality that it's there. It's not your preference, you're just letting it be there. So if you like, if there's any kind of negative emotion floating around in your awareness right now, maybe restlessness or irritation or worry, name it to yourself right now. Accept that it's here. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply, if that helps. Most people notice that if they own a difficult emotion, that paradoxically, instead of it getting worse, it actually seems to get better. Now, anchoring in the body again, just noticing whatever's predominant in the body, being open and receptive to what shows up in the moment, and simply allowing it to be as it is. And as we acknowledge it and allow it, asking yourself, can I be with this? We may notice wanting to get rid of it or fix it or push it away. That's natural. And see if you can just simply let it be. We also may notice a commentary arise about it, kind of adding fuel to the fire. And that's okay. That's a natural and common tendency. Just notice the opinion or dislike you have and stay with that direct experience itself. Welcome everything, push away nothing. Allowing, letting it be, being curious, open, receptive. This is how it is now. Put out the welcome mat for whatever is here. Now let all your senses be wide open. Let your body and mind be relaxed and receptive. Allow life to flow freely through you, wide open. Your moment-to-moment experience. Notice the changing flow of sounds, sensations, aliveness. And let yourself appreciate this awareness of inner space of presence. Now imagine as you complete this meditation, bringing this alertness and open awareness to whatever you do next. Remember, life itself is the meditation practice. When we resume to doing, we don't have to abandon being. So as this meditation ends, you can slowly begin to open your eyes if you like. You might want to move a little bit, wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch in whatever way feels comfortable. as we reestablish contact with the entire world around us. All right, so that ends the meditation for today. Thank you for doing that with me. Love to hear any comments. If you have any feedback, please feel free to use the chat, or you could also unmute yourself if you have any thoughts or reactions to that. But hopefully you found that interesting and helpful. Yes, you're welcome. And feeling of acceptance to the stressors. Yeah, that's really what it's about. The idea that we can learn to accept them as they are doesn't mean we're just letting them happen. It doesn't mean that we're letting them control us. But if we can step back from them, we can also, as we did in the meditation, acknowledge them. We can decide what to do about them. And when you're done, then you can decide on whatever action is needed. It gives us that little bit of breathing space to move on from that. All right, so moving on, we have just another thing. This is also from Rick Hanson, from his same newsletter on accepting difficulties. So this is something you can actually turn into a practice. I'm going to take it step by step. There's 4 of them. So in the moment, start by acknowledging any stress, just like we did in the meditation, whatever it is, anxiety, pain, frustration. Open to the impact on your body and mind of whatever is difficult, and just let it be whatever it is. Try to step back from it and observe it. Let it flow through you. Let it flow on out the door if you can. See if there's any resistance to things being difficult, and see if you can let that go. Looking at our beliefs, maybe there's a belief deep down that life should be one way or another. It should be fulfilling or peaceful or buffered from pain. But keep softening around the inherent difficulties in living. We all have them, right? Dealing with them as best you can, but not struggling so much with them. Notice that when you stop resisting the difficulty, it starts feeling a little less difficult. And as appropriate, try on this attitude. I signed up for this. It's sort of that acceptance. It's sort of that not trying to change this, but in some way you were part of it, part of the circumstances. Not to blame yourself for things that have happened to you, or to discount your stress or weariness, but to establish yourself in a relationship of choice toward whatever is difficult. Okay? So again, that's a little bit more from Rick Hanson. It's got some great stuff on this. So, thank you so much for that, Janet. Or not Janet, read that wrong, but that's a great comment. I'm so glad. Geez, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're able to apply this to driving in traffic these days. I think it's getting worse and worse. So great to hear that. Appreciate that. If anybody else has any other ways that you've applied this to real life circumstances, let me know. I'd love to hear about that. And this particular quote, got a couple more quotes for you that I find appropriate. So this is a poem from the Tibetan teacher Talopa. Let go of the past, of what may come, of what is happening now. Don't try to figure anything out. Don't try to make anything happen. Relax right now and rest. So I love that. It's a tall order, but I like that. It reminds me. I read that from time to time. And here's another one from James Baraz. He's a mindfulness instructor. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different, enjoying the pleasant without holding on when it changes, which it will, being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. Right. So that kind of says it all. That's really appropriate quote. So I'm going to go into some of the last slides here and show you some, just remind you of some of the ways that you can continue. So here's another, this is great, 5 by 5. If it won't matter in 5 years, don't waste 5 minutes of your precious life. Breathe through it. Very good. Love that. Thank you, Rose. So I always like to remind you to do some home practice. So this is, again, that reminder to continue your own practice. Doing some sort of a formal practice every day, or maybe even 5-6 days a week if you can. Even if it's 3 minutes, that counts, 3 minutes minimum, up to 12 minutes if you can find time for doing that. It's really a great cornerstone of our mindfulness practice when we can do that. And then, of course, there are the informal practices. So set a random reminder that helps me to remind myself to do some practice, whether it's formal or informal. Pay attention to what you're doing while you're doing it, and enjoy, savor, and be grateful for the positive things that come across your way. That always helps to strengthen that positive mindset. And pay attention to routine tasks, all those things that you do during the day that we do over and over again, washing your hands, brushing your teeth, whatever that might be. Notice when your mind wanders and bring it back to the task. It's really strengthening that muscle of attention and mindfulness. And there is a link here to another reading, a pretty good article on the art of letting go, 10 simple ways to live a fun, happy life. So if you want to do some further reading when you get the slides, you can click into that. Again, just another reminder about EFR and the various services that are available through Employee and Family Resources. I think you all know about that, but these will continue, as I mentioned. These are the mindfulness services that we've developed. So we do webinars upon request for different departments. In the future, you can contact Gail Cole, as you see on the bottom here, or Vivian Burgle. And we also do stress breaks, so we can come to a team meeting and do a quick 15-20-minute stress break with an overview of EFR and do a relaxation practice. We are going to continue, as I mentioned, this monthly mindfulness. Cecily will be continuing at the same time. So keep on the lookout for that. It may change, the link may change, but hopefully we'll be able to transition that fairly smoothly. And I have done from time to time ongoing mindfulness series. Not sure when that will continue, but I'm sure something will continue going forward. So those are all coming up. And as we mentioned, this is the slide on the Take 10, but it really should be Take 10 Teams meditations. So again, 5 days a week, we're still doing these Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at noon, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2. This is the link. So this will be an active link when you get the slides. You can copy and paste that if you want, or you can just use this slide to link right into that. It's the same one for every day. And these are live meditations, take about 10 minutes. So, and again, there's that 688-6185, got 3 pre-recorded meditations there. Plus that's that same link to that Carillon Wellbeing website where I've uploaded about 30 different meditations on there. Also, I just want to remind you, this is relatively new. We have 2 health coaches, Carly Smolik and Kristen Turnbull, and they're available for one-to-one health coaching on any of these issues that you see here in these boxes. And the way to start that is to email them at thrivehealthcoaching@ynhh.org. So hope you take advantage of that as well. It's another great resource for your own well-being. And all this stuff, again, can be found on Thrive. If you go to the intranet, you go to departments and communities, go to T, that's where you'll find Thrive. It opens up to this honeycomb thing. And the EFR and the mindfulness stuff is under My Wellbeing. And there's actually a whole page linked off of that for Employee and Family Resources and all what's going on. That's another place you could always check if we change any of the links there or make any announcements, you can check that. But we'll also try to communicate that. And I'm not going away completely. As you may know, I have uploaded all these classes and others to a YouTube channel. So that's still active. And there's the link, or even just go to YouTube and search my name. Got about 200 different videos from past classes on there. And there's I've broken them up into playlists. Got some brief nature videos. So check those out and become a subscriber. You know, if there's any updates, you'll get notified. I do plan to add meditations onto that YouTube channel. So, you know, brief 10-minute or so meditations. I plan to do some videos and upload those to that channel. I do also have a website on mindfulness. It's just my name, budwassell.com. Got some good basic information about mindfulness. There are some guided meditations on there. So there are some things that you can download and some information, and it's all free. I'm trying to put some classes on there, but they're not really active at this time. So really most of the classes, if you want to do any of those or review any of those, you're going to find on that YouTube channel. So with that, I'll say, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be well, and I do hope our paths cross again. And I thank you all so much for being with me on this mindfulness journey. It's really helped me quite a lot. And before I go, I have one last quote from Jon Kabat-Zinn, Suggestions for Daily Practice. It helps to keep in mind that good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, the present moment is really the only time any of us are alive, in the moment, right? Therefore, it's the only time to learn, grow, see what is really going on, find some degree of balance, feel and express emotions such as love and appreciation, and do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And it takes a lot of practice. You know, as if you've been in my classes, I've been saying this all along. It takes practice, but be kind to yourself as well. But you have lots of moments, and that's all it takes, is be aware of what's going on in the moment, and we can treat each one as a new beginning. So if you kind of fall off the mindfulness practice or your habit, you can always start fresh again. So giving you a lot of ways to do that. There are apps out there as well, in addition to the things that I pointed out. And remember, the real meditation is your life and how you inhabit it moment by moment. Again, from Jon Kabat-Zinn. So again, thank you so much. Namaste. I bow to you and thank you for being with me during these classes, and peace be with you. So appreciate your presence and coming together to practice. And thanks for the chats. I see those. Thank you for the congrats. I'm looking forward to having some more time with grandkids and doing some other things. I do plan on doing some more mindfulness activities, so stay tuned for that. But again, thank you all for being with me. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to stop the recording. And if anybody has any questions, let me stop the recording first.